Yeah. So we were trying to understand what self-doubt is. So self-doubt, as I said, is that nagging inner voice that constantly whispers negativity, often telling us, you can't do it, you are not good enough, what if you fail? However, we also see that self doubt isn't one size fits all experience. It can manifest in various ways. Like in our coaching, we coach different people. So somebody from corporate, I met recently a young professional. He mentioned everyone else seems to know what they are doing in the meeting. However, I am clearly out of my depth in that official meeting. Or somebody from household says, I'm not as organized as other parents. I am failing my family, is it? This is called the inner critique. Another, manifestation can be in another form, which we call imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is the persistent feeling of being a fraud despite evidence of your competence. Like somebody from corporate might say that I secretly worry about being found out by others who will attribute my success to luck rather than to my skills. Or I meet sometime senior citizens, they dismiss their wisdom and experience, thinking my contributions aren't really valuable anymore. So that is imposter syndrome. Another manifestation can be fear of failure. Fear of failure is that paralyzing fear which prevents us from taking risks and pursuing our goals. For example, I remember a young entrepreneur came. He had a brilliant idea, but he was very hesitant to launch it, fearing potential setbacks. Or I also remember another householder who came and he was trying to avoid a new hobby, worried about not being good at it. So all these cases we can, club as fear of failure. So self-doubt can manifest as inner critique or as imposter syndrome or as fear of failure. But now let's look at it that where it is coming from. What is the root of this self-doubt? It is rarely innate. It's often learned and reinforced through various experiences. The first can be from early childhood. For example, if one has critical or unsupportive environment, it can plant seeds of doubt very early on. For example, a child constantly told they are messy might internalize a belief that they are inherently incapable. And, nowadays we are living in the world of hyper-connected world. So negative social comparisons are another reason by which self-doubt keeps perpetuating in our lives. It is very easy to fall into the trap of comparing ourselves to others because of social media. And social media, as well as even at work or within our communities, this constant comparison keeps happening. People are posting some beautiful pictures, and we make a definition of perfect family life which we see online. Or if we see, very successful person posting, so we have the constant comparison of career trajectories also. So that is the negative social comparison which is creating self-doubt. Sometimes self-doubt also is possible because of past failures and setbacks. While failure is a natural part of growth, dwelling on past mistakes can erode our confidence. For instance, a professional who experienced a project failure might become hesitant to take on new challenge, even if they have the skills. Similarly, someone who faced a setback in personal relationship might doubt their ability to connect with others. So we talked about early childhood experiences of critical or unsupportive environment. We talked about negative social comparisons because of social media. We talked about past failures and setbacks. Another reason of self-doubt can be the societal expectation and stereotypes. In society, norms and stereotypes can also contribute to self-doubt. For example, a young woman in traditionally male-dominated fields might face unconscious bias that makes them question their abilities. Older adults might feel their contributions are undervalued in a youth-centric society. Now that we have seen what have been the root causes of the self-doubt, let us now look at the impact this self-doubt does. The insidious thing about self-doubt is how it silently chips away at our potential, preventing us from living fully and authentically. I remember, a young graduate I recently coached. He said, "Sir, I might not apply for a dream job because they don't believe I am qualified." Or another corporate employee said, "I am holding back my innovative ideas in meetings because I fear criticism." Another senior colleague once confided, I might refrain myself from learning a new skill, believing I am too old." So these are like missed opportunities which happen all because of self-doubt. Let's go a little more deep. How it affects the relationships. It leads to strains even in relationships. Why? Because when we doubt ourselves, we might become insecure and thereby we become clingy. And conversely, we start withdrawing or we start isolating ourselves. It starts impacting our relationships. So someone riddled with self-doubt might constantly seek reassurance from their partner or sometimes avoid social gatherings altogether. So any of these things can happen. Now let us look at the impact of self-doubt on our, minds. So definitely it increases the stress and the anxiety. And why that happens? Because there is a constant internal battle with self-doubt. Why? Because it is emotionally draining. It leads to significant stress and anxiety thereby. We worry about not measuring up, constantly second guessing our decisions, and fearing judgments. And all this takes a heavy toll on our mental well-being. And it is regardless of whatever age or stage of life we are. So we saw the limiting effects of self-doubt on missed opportunities, on strained relationships, as well as increase of stress and anxiety. So finally, what happens to our potential then? It leads to unfulfilled potential. Ultimately, self-doubt prevents us from reaching our full potential and experiencing the joy of pursuing our passions and talents. We settle for less than what we deserve, living a smaller version of ourselves. So now that we have seen that it takes so much toll in our life, this self-doubt, let us now look at how to go about it. So we have to shift our focus and we have to embrace our true worth. We have to start understanding our intrinsic worth. So the good news is that self-doubt is not a life sentence. We can learn to recognize it, challenge it, and ultimately break free from its grip by embracing our true worth. So let us first, for a moment, talk about what true worth is. So true worth is the inherent value which you possess simply by being human. It is not tied to achievements, possessions, relationships, or what others think about us. It is like that tiny seed that held inherent potential. Similarly, we all too have intrinsic worth, a unique and valuable essence. So let us look at how to go about to cultivate this self-worth. So first and foremost is, we have already seen earlier that this inner critique comes. So as a first mitigation strategy is to become aware of this inner critique. If we start noticing our negative self-talk, then many things we can find out. We can find out what are the common themes, which are those triggers which lead us to such thoughts. So for that, if we keep a journal for a day or two and start noting down, we'll find certain patterns. For a young person, this might reveal anxieties around social acceptance. And for somebody working in corporate, it might be fears of not meeting performance expectations. And for somebody in household, it can be the feeling of inadequacy in managing household responsibilities. And for somebody, a senior citizen, it might be internalizing the ageist stereotypes. So once we start recognizing and noting our inner critiques, the triggers, then the next step is to challenge those negative thoughts. Once we have identified those thoughts, we have to question their validity. Is this thought based on fact or is it a feeling? What evidence contradicts this thought? What would I tell a friend in this situation? For example, if the inner critic says, you are going to mess up this presentation, we can challenge it by saying, I have prepared thoroughly. I have valuable insights to share. I am very confident now. So the moment we reframe, we challenge these negative thoughts, automatically we get into the zone where we start valuing our self-worth. Another strategy is to practice self-compassion. Self-compassion is where we treat ourselves with the same kindness and understanding which we will offer to a friend who is struggling. Because if you will notice, we most of the time become very critique to ourselves. When it comes to self, we become too much critique. So instead of berating, we have to learn to acknowledge and move on. For example, I remember talking to a young man. He was failing in an examination. Now, in such a case, what would be the self-compassion? Here, self-compassion would involve acknowledging the disappointment, but also recognizing the efforts and potential for future improvement. So I remember, a story of a small girl who was feeling very shy. to not go to school. Why? She had that complex that my complexion is not so very fair. So people don't like me. And she was feeling very, very insecure. So then suddenly one uncle came to the house and he called him when this girl's mother confided to the uncle. So the uncle took this small girl uh, in the house separately, one on one, and said, "Oh, wow, you look so beautiful. How good you are." And like that, he spoke to her for many minutes. And then he casually asked, "Your mother was telling that you do not want to go to school. What is the reason?" Then that girl shyly replied, "Uncle, I am not so very fair." So, like that, when he said, then the uncle gave examples of many, many other people who have done so very well in life, but they are not so complexion wise so bright. And then when he spoke to her for many more minutes, and then again he said, "Whenever you get such doubt, go to the mirror and tell in that mirror, I am the most beautiful girl in this whole of the world." And repeat that 2 times. And then you go to the school and tell the same thing to your friends also. With this confidence, with this kind of encouragement, with this kind of satsang, I would say, of the uncle, the girl felt very emboldened. She required just that confidence. And the whole narration changed. The self-compassion automatically seeped in. Similarly, if you look at some other uh, story on questioning the limiting belief, I remember a man saw an elephant tied to a small stake with a thin rope. And curious, he asked the trainer why the elephant did not break free. The trainer replied, "When it was young, it tried, but it couldn't. Now it believes it still can't, so it never tries." So, like the elephant, we often stay bound by old limiting beliefs. So, we have to question them. Are they still true, or are they just habits or thoughts? Then, another strategy is anchoring in awareness. So, here I remember, a monk. A monk took his student to a pond and asked him to stir the water. The student did, and the reflection disappeared. After a while, when the water settled, the monk said, "Now do you see your reflection?" So, same is the case, monk explained to the student, is of our mind. When our minds are restless with doubt, we lose clarity. However, when we anchor in awareness, it is like letting the water settle and we become truly visible to our true self. And then we were talking about reframing our thoughts, that is, rewiring our narratives. So I remember a story about two wolves. A wise man told his grandson, "Inside every person, there are two wolves fighting. One represents fear, self doubt, and negativity. The other stands for courage, confidence, and growth." So the boy asked, "Which one wins?" The old man smiled, "The one you feed." So your thoughts shape your reality. So choose to feed the empowering beliefs. Another thing is taking action despite fear. That's the first step. So here I remember a story about a bird. A young bird stood at the edge of a cliff, afraid to fly. Watching, the mother bird nudged it forward. The bird didn't know its wing worked until it leaped. So same way, self-doubt fades when we take action. You don't need full confidence to start. Just take the first step. Another strategy is to cultivate the inner strength. So here I remember the story of bamboos, patience. A farmer planted bamboo seeds and watered them daily. Nothing grew for years. And then in the fifth year, the bamboo shot up overnight, growing up 80 feet in weeks. So like bamboo, strength is built underground before visible results appear. So we have to keep nurturing ourselves till we see the progress, though it may seem slow. And finally, trusting our authenticated path, the river's journey. A river starts in the mountains but encounters a vast desert. It fears that it will lose itself, but then the wind whispered, "Let go and I will carry you." Trusting the process, the river evaporated, became clouds, and rained down on the other side, continuing its journey. So your path unfolds as you surrender to your authentic calling and trust this journey. So these were some of the thoughts which I have. I would like to open the floor in a minute. However, I would like to revisit the story of the little seed which we saw earlier. Just like that seed, we all possess an inherent worth, a unique potential waiting to blossom. Don't let the whispers of self-doubt keep you buried in the darkness. Embrace your true worth, nurture your strengths, and step into the light. You are capable, you are invaluable, and you deserve to thrive. So with that, I will take a pause and I'll ask if somebody has any comment or any questions. Please.
Hi, Tarun.
Hey, Akilan, how are you?
Good evening. I'm fine. How about you?
Yeah, great.
Yeah, it was a very good insight. Actually, see, whatever that you explained about the self-doubt and the other fear of failure. So I think this is quite normal in the corporate world. Like even for the meeting with the customer, or even for the fact that we have to give a demonstration or presentation to the customers. I think that first when you start, I think we normally feel bit uncomfortable, like we feel frightened, and of course once it starts, like what you said, that if there is the self worth, you just start, don't delay. But this happens quite frequently, like even. Is it something to do with the preparation? Like even though it is like going for an exam. Like for example, we study for the prepare for the mathematics exam especially. So the moment it looks as if we forgot everything, but the moment you see the question paper and then possibly start it gives you whatever the questions that you're going through, that the question paper, like you feel that okay, I know this, and slowly you start recollecting and then you start working out. So is it to avoid this, like you suggested, that fear of failure, and possibly we have to we have to remain calm and see how we go forward? And so is it something to do with the preparation also? Because even though we have a lot of experience, the one who has got a lot of experience, or one has attended the meetings with the customer, or if during some negotiations or something like that, but is it something to do with thorough preparation? We can anticipate this question from the customer, or these are all the things. It also with all our experience that we had, earlier faced or experienced whatever we have. Is it something to do with thorough preparation so that we go and face the meeting without any issues? Is it something that we can work upon? Because if you have to do something, possibly you may have to prepare thoroughly.
Yeah, so Akilan, if you heard me right when I said in the beginning, there are 2-3 root causes, and those 2-3 root causes can be the inner critique, or an imposter syndrome, or a fear of failure. And all these, either of these reasons can be because of either early childhood experiences, or negative social comparisons, or past failures and setbacks, or societal expectations and stereotypes. Now, what you are talking about can be that, or it can be definitely lack of preparedness. Of course, in corporate environment, certainly that can be because of lack of preparedness. Yes, I agree.
And with respect to the imposter syndrome, can you throw more light? Because somehow I missed that. Thank you.
Yeah, imposter syndrome is that persistent feeling of being a fraud, despite evidence of your competence. So a corporate leader might secretly worry about being found out, attributing their success to luck rather than skill. Or an older adult might dismiss their wisdom and experience, thinking, my contributions aren't really valuable anymore. I'm old school now. Like that. So that is called imposter syndrome.
Thank you. Thank you, Tarun.
Okay. Yeah, Rupali.
Hi, Tarun. Thank you so much for the wonderful introduction. And regarding the introduction itself, I have like a few, I noted down a few points. So one of them, I believe you talked about self-critique. And, in that case, I had a question. How much is like when you're growing up, whatever the, the caregivers are or the parents are, how much of their contribution, gets you into this habit of being a self-critic? Is it the, like, in case if the parents are like overtly criticizing, or they are pointing out your mistakes all the time, so does that in any way cause that habit of being too hard on yourself, or being a self-critic? Can you give a little explanation on this?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
So definitely you have picked up very correctly. You are bang on, I would say. If the early caregivers have been critical, and it was an unsupportive environment, it can plant seeds of doubt very early on. So child, for example, he will be told that you are messy, and it will start having the belief right throughout that I am inherently incapable. So these are what we call the mental blocks. And if they have been repeated on and on and on, and their memory has gone internally so much to the body cells that it starts affecting at the energy level also. And sometimes it goes even deeper. So depending on the kind of conditioning a person has experienced, so depending on that would be the treatment. The therapy would be up to the mind blocks, or up to the energy healing, or even sometime going right up to the past life regression also. So there are many stages. So it all depends that how much deep the wounds are, and to what extent the person is ready to do the self-work and can come through. Sometimes, in many cases, we see that by doing the mental workshop, a person will get its wounds healed. And however, if that does not help, then energy workshop. If that does not help, Then, there are further higher workshops, and final is the past life regression. So these are the various extent to which this can be. So you are very bang on, right? Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. I had like one following question to this. What I have noticed is I am very like I set very high standards for myself. So what happens is even let's say so like I wanted to achieve, let's say, XYZ, and I set a very high standard, and then I achieve that XYZ, but still I feel like no, it is not up to the mark, it is not that great. So I try to just not I try but I am just very hard on myself. So I don't know what's the solution for this. Like I even after achieving, it just feels a bit disappointing.
Yeah, so this is, Rupali, you have identified the self-doubt in the form of inner critique. So you are admitting that. And at the same time, we have also connected the dots that it is because of early childhood experiences. And now, what is the way out is that, okay, prior to that, how it would actually come into further realization in your life is you will find that you have missed many opportunities. You have had strained relationships. You must be having increased stress and anxiety or some unfulfilled potential. So either of that or some combination of that, you would have definitely experienced. So all these are definitely tying up to the central theme of self-doubt. However, now the good news is that you can do it. You can do the self-work to increase your self-worth, which is your true worth. And that is by becoming aware of your inner critique. So by journaling and challenging your negative thoughts, by reframing, by practicing some self-compassion. As we said that we are extra critique when we are talking to ourselves, but we are very, very kind when we are talking to others. Or, for example, say 3 a.m. friend, we are very kind to our friends. So these are some of the things which you have to start recognizing. And as I mentioned, the work which you need to do with professional, if your self-work is not proving to be further helping you. Some of the other things which I can say very quickly is to focus on your own strengths and values. Another can be, you can set realistic goals and celebrate small wins. Another would be to surround yourself with supportive people. Another can be, you can start practicing self-care. Another can be to embrace imperfection. Another can be giving back to others, like volunteering, doing seva. And finally, as we saw, practicing gratitude. And as I said in the end, the surrender. Surrender and being in that observer mode. That is what clearly will take you to that final step of cultivating the self-trust and thereby the self-worth. Just by simply surrounding yourself with supportive people sometimes can, change your life. I remember a story of Lata. She used to come for coaching to me. And she was having issues in, doubting herself of becoming a yoga teacher. And what was happening was Lata was in a friend group that mocked her dream of becoming a yoga teacher. They used to say, "You, a teacher, stick to your day job." And Lata used to feel small. Then she joined a yoga community. People who cheered her on, within a year, she was taking packed classes. So that is where the energy of your others, your supportive people, takes you to the next level. You don't realize. Another case was, you have to have that self-trust, which is a muscle. It does not get done in a jiffy. You have to work on it. Because what happens is, over years, self-doubt fades when you trust yourself. It is like building a muscle. So I remember a case of a software developer. He had promised himself, I'll finish this code, and then he will procrastinate. And, doubt will creep in, saying, I am unreliable. However, after some time, he started taking small steps. He set a goal of coding for 15 minutes daily and kept at it. That promise keeping built its trust. And now he tackles huge projects with confidence once he had that muscle built in. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Tarun. That was very helpful and very insightful. I definitely have lots of takeaways from this one answer itself. So thank you very much.
My pleasure. Yeah, Anu, you have a question?
Yeah. Actually, my question, answered just recently, but still, I have one question. And thank you so much, Tarun. The very insightful answers I am getting. But sometimes, yes, okay, it might be, past lives or when we growing our caregivers. So we have developed the self doubt and unworthiness, but sometimes okay we can able to crack through healing, doing all the healing related work or self work. But in the situation like okay we have to work in some in some places where always some people otherwise your higher ups are creating lot of self doubts. So sometimes you feel like dumb, and sometimes definitely it is, if you keep listening, if you keep receiving the negative comments and criticizing uh, about your work even though you are doing pretty well, uh, so it is affecting it is making the self doubts. uh, so how to come out of this and have no play and no choices, because sometimes we have to work. So there is a no just sudden like we can't leave that job and move at the time. How to crack it, and we know very clearly this is also one type of negative way of handling the people, and it is a psychology strategy. Just that person wanted to pull down few people intentionally, just to get the personal benefits. We know the situation, we know that person psychology, but sometimes it is hitting like anything when we are going through this type of incidents uh, again and again in our daily life.
Yeah. Thanks, Anu, for asking that question. So I will narrate you two stories, and I would like you to draw your conclusion first, and then we will discuss further. The first story is taking small, courageous actions. So let me tell you about Priya. She dreamed of starting a bakery, but kept saying, I'm not ready. Self doubt had her struck. So in coaching session, I challenged her. I said, bake one cake this week and sell it. She did, a chocolate fudge cake for her neighbor. That gave her 300 rupees sales, and it lit a spark. She set another goal, 3 cakes, and then a pop-up stall. Today, she runs a thriving bakery. So what was that magic? The magic was she started small. So we have to pick up one tiny action Send that email, speak up in that meeting, call a friend, confront your superior, whatever it is that you have been avoiding. Do it and then celebrate it. The confidence grows in doing. Okay, let me talk another story from corporate. So I once worked with James. He is a sales manager. He was obsessed with his boss's approval. If he didn't get a pat on the back, he'd spiral. I'm a failure. He worked on this. We worked on this together with James, and he started focusing on his own wins, like closing a tough deal and practicing mindfulness to stay present. One day, his boss gave lukewarm feedback, and James just shrugged. He said, I know I did good work. And that is freedom. So you don't need anyone's applause. Anchor yourself in you. So these are some of the techniques, Anu, I would say, which you have to, and these things take time. These things you have to be present to. Like I mentioned about journal. You have to self introspect, find out what are those particular points which keep coming. And then, start reframing on those thoughts. Then you will get one or the other breakthrough. And another thing I will tell you, most of the time, we live in past. Why we live in past? Have you ever questioned?
I questioned. I just enjoying because I found I'm making the stories and the bluff. Sorry to them. It is not
Exactly.
bluff. It is just
No,
making
it
the
is
stories.
bluff. It is
Yeah,
bluff.
it is bluff.
You answered. We just keep on telling stories. And why we are very comfortable in that zone of being in past,
Yeah,
because there is somebody to blame.
yeah,
We will blame it on ABC, we will blame it on XYZ. However, the true thing is, if we live in present, then we have to clear the garbage which we have surrounded ourselves. We have to
yeah,
clean it. We have to start taking action to clear it. That is where the real work starts. So
yeah,
whenever you get that feeling, Anu, check 90% of the time is we are living in past. Why? Because it is very easy to blame others.
yeah,
And the moment you come into present by doing those mindful exercises, which we have talked in various sessions earlier, we can really challenge and we can be in present. And then we will slowly start encountering the garbage which we have to clear. And then only we will shine. Till that time, no, it's not possible. Yeah.
yes, actually, yeah, it's very true. You, any very, very concise way you have given the answer, and which is which I have to adapt. And thank you. If you don't mind, can I ask one question? This is very rarest personal question.
You are sure. Please go on.
Yeah. So the one thing is like I'm 40 and I'm suffering still many decades is like I'm not worthy for my any personal relationship because I don't look good and I come from a middle class family. I don't know why I developed this because even in childhood my mom used to keep saying we are although we are coming from a very well recognized, well cultured, well educated family and people love to treat us very nicely, but this is the one backlog I keep that it is keep hitting in my mind. So we are not according to the social and especially the financial standard, we are not not in a good state compared to our relatives, and this is the only thing like I feel like eh, I don't deserve to get the personal life. Uh, I don't know.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
try
yeah.
in many ways, but
Yeah, I heard you. I heard you. I can understand. Yeah, yeah. So let me ask you a couple of things. So first and foremost is the point called observation. So like just now we talked that most of these negative things which we very often uh, use to deprecate our present self are coming from past. So have you observed yourself and have you self audited yourself?
uh, yes. Uh,
Did you make any journal?
Yes, I used to make, but now a lot of gap. I think more than 3 to 6 months. But earlier, I tried and I made. And there are many years I used to keep the journal and writing everything, even the third journal. Self audited is I'm so that anxiety. I don't know where it comes. Even though I got the good proposals and very,
We'll come to that. We will come to
but
that. Don't jump. We will come to
okay.
that also. We will first let us be with me. I asked you a simple question that did you self audit yourself and did you journal? These two questions I asked. And
Yes,
what I have
self
heard is
audited.
you
Yeah,
did it and you had done it, but since last 3 6 months, probably you need to again start that.
yeah.
Great. So
Hmm.
what will that do, Anu, in your case? If the
Means
moment you start making your self journal and you start noting down and noting what is triggering you, what will it what will happen then?
especially when it comes to third journal, it is keep going and going and never ending. And sometimes I was like lack of time. Sometimes I like unable to control the emotions. Sometimes like I don't know, Andre, that I don't want to come out that I have freezed something in my heart and mind.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
want to
So Anu,
pull out.
you have to first and foremost you have to identify feelings separately, emotions separately, and thoughts separately. You
Okay.
remember I did one session on thoughts, emotions, and feelings. If by chance you have not attended that, you can go to the YouTube and you can check the recording. We have
Yeah,
done that.
sure, I will do.
Now, after doing that, you will be able to identify those particular self limiting thoughts. And then you will be able to find certain patterns. So, those are the natural next steps to take. But what is happening is you are not reaching to those next steps because you are struggling at the first stage itself. Because at present, you are still mixed up about your thoughts, about your emotions, about your feelings.
Yes.
So, first and foremost, you have to understand them in clarity. And if
Hmm.
by chance you feel any help is required, talk to me. I
Okay.
can give you pro bono certain sessions and I can take you through some of those aspects. Not a problem. Number one.
Okay.
Number one. Number two, the moment you have done that journaling and you have started mentioning those particular thoughts which are self-limiting you, then we will identify what is the level of wound inside because of which these thoughts are coming every now and then, whether they are at the body level, whether they are at mental level, whether they are at energy level, whether they are up to past life level. So there are 5 stages. So we have to look at it individually, and this can be done by opening up layer by layer. When you will start doing that work, then only you will be able to get to know. And basis that, you will have to do the remedial work for that. So this is how this journey is going to be. So if you are prepared to do the hard work, and if you are prepared to uh, do things for yourself, I have told you the way. Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
sure. Yeah, Rupali, go on.
So Tarun, I have a question about one thing. It's what has happened is because I would say because I had all these bad experiences in my previous relationship. Now it has happened that I have a self doubt, and there is a lot of fear, and that even to think of starting to date again, that thought itself, like like gives me a big like I am just procrastinating on that. And also I'm self-sabotaging. Even if somebody like suggest me some proposal or something, I'm just not interested, I'm just not willing, I'm just shutting it off. And I just think that maybe I am not able to choose anything wisely, so let me just not get there. So that's what I'm doing in the relationship aspect. So if you could guide on that, or what could be done, or what should be my starting steps with this, it would be really great.
Yeah, so for you, Rupali, since it is relationship related, because there are some wounds of the past relationship, so there is some healing which is required of that for sure. Then you also mentioned about some childhood challenges. So there also certain healing needs to be done. Now, as far as the wounds are concerned, we have to check again by, doing that self-inspection, by talking to yourself, and by journaling, and by finding those patterns of self-limiting thoughts. You have to exactly pinpoint where it is alluding to. So first and foremost, Rupali, are you clear on thoughts, emotions, and feelings?
Not really. Thoughts I
So,
understand, but
so you
emotions
have
and
to
feelings, not
no.
really.
Yeah. So this is the answer is yes or no. If you are having even
No.
little doubt, then also I would say you revisit the recording of my previous webinar on thoughts, emotions, and feelings. And then
Okay.
afterwards, if you feel you still have questions, contact me. I will give you some more pro bono sessions and I will
Sure.
work with you. But
Sure. Yeah.
but in this particular case, again, there is a lot of self work which is required.
I see.
And unless and until, what happens is critical or unsupportive environments can plant the seeds of doubt very early on. So sometimes those seeds gets implanted so deeply, Rupali, that
Yeah.
constantly, keep getting that every now and then. So for
Understand.
that, mitigation is required only after proper identification. हम लोग बोलते हैं ना, we say पंच तत्व, पांच
Mm-hmm.
कोश, 5 layers of our body, and the last layer is every cell, Rupali, every cell of the body. It has memory. So that's why sometimes we have to repeat. And why we are repeating? Because at the first level, we are speaking to the outermost shell of ours. Then it goes to the next layer. Then it goes to the next layer. So this takes sometimes, it can happen fast. Sometimes it can take months, and sometimes it can take years also.
True.
Depend on the kind of work which you are doing.
True.
And finally is that cell level. So that cell level is which everyone talks about, which is the ultimate. हम लोग जो अभी we spoke about observer mode, and we talked about total surrender. We talked
Mm-hmm.
about volunteering. We talked about
Yes.
seva. Why did we say all of that? Because if we have to heal our wounds of that level, we need to do the work of that level. Are you
Mm-hmm.
getting? If the
Yep.
work required is of the outer layer, then you can do something externally. But when the wounds are of that level, then you need to go up to that level. So to give the message to every cell of our body, deep within, to the core, जो 5 layers का last layer है, which is their deep core, जिसे हम आत्मा बोलते हैं, which we call unity of consciousness, sometimes we call by many names. But ultimately programming वहां पे चाहिए. And that programming is nothing but the memory. And that's why अभी जो programming हुई है, it is on the subconscious and the unconscious level of the mind. That's why at the conscious level, we are facing so much challenges.
Mm-hmm.
So that is how it is. So go step by step. Start with identification of thoughts, emotions, feelings. Get your vocabulary right. Get your understanding right. Then start with writing journal. Then do the self-audit. Then do the identification of those self-limiting thoughts. When I'm speaking thoughts, these are thoughts, not emotions, not feelings. So those identification of the thoughts, if you are able to do it at your level, great. Otherwise, take specialist help. And thereafter, once it is identified, then we go to the next work of finding out at which level the wounds are, to what depth those wounds are, and then to what kind of work it is required. And then, we talked about being in that environment where you are full of supportive people. We talked about many other things like becoming aware of inner critique, challenging our negative thoughts, practicing self-compassion, focusing on strengths and values, and so many other things. So that work will start only thereafter. But the basics have to be very, very clear. Then only these things will start taking some change outside you will feel. Because understand, this is the deep programming you are changing, deep memory of each cell you are changing. So it will take time. Yeah?
Got it. Definitely I will reach out to you. I think that's the first thing I'm gonna do. I'm just procrastinating and I was lost kind of. So I understand, like, I am myself procrastinating it, and it feels very hard and tough to start working on it. So I will definitely get in touch with you. And one more thing I had about the career aspect, like, there are people around who try to pull you down, like Anu was saying. So such negative people, they will feed you with thoughts which are not even yours. They have their own doubts, or they have their own criteria, I guess. So they'll say, oh, you are at this age and you are now going to start this, and like, are you not going to marry, and those type of things. And because of all that, if I am trying to focus on my goal, they're trying to, like, sidetrack me from that, and trying to put me into a mold that I am not going to fit in anyways. But that's what, since the time I have come to India, I am just listening to all these thoughts. So it just makes me feel like small, like they are trying to make me feel small. So I don't know, like that definitely causes a lot of self-doubt. I think the main reason why I joined the call was just because I'm getting so many negative thoughts about my goal, like, should I even pursue it or not. I'm getting till that level, and other people nearby me, they are just telling me, you don't have to go back. Why do you have to go back and uh, get married here, and all those things. So basically I have my own dreams and goals, but they are just saying that, okay, this is not for you. So I don't know what.
Yeah.
Like,
so what happens is, Rupali, when you are at the level of where you are not able to clearly see through, where other people are influencing so much that you are getting unsettled, that shows that there is some work which needs to be done to make you reach from negative to zero. The journey of positive will start only after you have reached zero. So to reach from negative to zero, you have to do some self-work. And that is increasing your self-worth. And that is not believing what others are saying. And that means you have to be more powerful than others. And that means you have to be immune to those things which those guys are speaking. And that means you have to be more powerful. The others are showing their power by trying to belittle you, by trying to make you look small by their utterings of nonsense and small petty things. But you have lived through. You have already done certain things, like the moment you have reached offshore and survived in the environments of COVID and God knows what all kinds of challenges. That means, and you have already reached a particular level in your company. So those are all people will always try to belittle you. That is very natural. Even till this age and stage, I keep getting such negative feedback. So what? Let it be. It is their choice. And I don't even say कि उन्होंने गलत किया. मैं तो बोलता हूं उन्होंने अपना मुंह मीठा किया. They made their own mouth sweetened by giving me their small thoughts. I don't even curse them. Why should I? Why should I boil my blood? Why should I spend my energy on others? I have so many other things to do. So the moment we recognize all that, and all those recognition will only come by doing your self-audit, by doing those journaling, by talking to yourself, by identifying those self-doubts, those thoughts. And let me tell you again and again, the very key thing is not to live in past, not to live in future, but to live in present. Because this is where the action is. This is where the answers to the future also lie. Whatever you will do to present, that will design your future. So in a way, you can decide if you want to live in the self-pity zone, you can decide to live in the self-pity zone. That will spoil your future, for sure. But the moment you start taking that U-turn, you start making yourself immune by starting to make yourself powerful, by doing things which you know will work eventually. Because you have done certain smaller, some things good in life, that's why you have reached to this level. You have reached overseas, you have reached a position of something in corporate. So all that, something has worked. Now you have to, what happens is, हम लोग बीच में थक जाते हैं, घबरा जाते हैं. Because of these constant utterings of others, we become, because our guards are down sometimes. But the moment you have observed these things, you have understood these things, no problem. Get up and up your guards and do those things which can give a befitting answer in their own language. Become their boss, and then you tell them, what it is. That is where the true worth lies. Yeah?
Yep. Okay. Thank you so much, Tarun. This was really amazing. I felt so positive when you were saying this. Otherwise, I was just feeling too much of negativity.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
you for participating.
Yeah,
Thank
thank you, Tarun. Thank you so much. I have got a lot of insights, and sure, I will do work. And if I need anything, I will get back to you.
Sure, please.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Good night. Thank you
Bye-bye.
so
Thank
much.
you.